Hi, good evening. My name's Ed Colby, and I really appreciate being in this class, and I hope to learn a lot about the Revolutionary War. For my discussion thread this evening, I chose to discuss the Boston Freedom Trail. I feel the Freedom Trail is a very unique collection of historical markers to tell the story of the American Revolution. I've chosen to make a nice video for it, and I hope you guys enjoy the video and learn something along the way. So thank you again, mahalo, and I look forward to working with you all in the future.
The Boston Freedom Trail was established in the 1950s by a thoughtful generation of scholars that wanted to capture the revolutionary historical essence of Boston. In 2000, a conference sponsored by the National Park Service on the occasion of the 225th anniversary of the Revolution, modern-day historians gathered in Boston to reinvigorate and revitalize the Boston Freedom Trail to what we know today. Their intent was to tell a more complex story of the Revolution in the hopes that its prestigious historical significance doesn't lose relevance in our youth of today. The more incorporated Freedom Trail that you can visit today lays out and describes a more inclusive stories unveiled at each of the historical sites on the trail. The Freedom Trail in its current form consists of several integral sites that really capture the essence and historical nature of Boston as it relates to the heroic beginnings of our great nation. Starting with Boston Common. Established in 1634, Boston Common is America's oldest public park. A great fact about Boston Common is over 1,000 redcoats made camp on the Common during the British occupation of Boston in 1775. It was from there the three brigades of redcoats left to make the fateful trip to Lexington and Concord. Boston Common was also a place of celebration, where we celebrated the repeal of the Stamp Act and the end of the Revolutionary War. Another great location along the trail is the Liberty Tree. In 1765, colonists in Boston staged the first act of defiance against the British government at that tree. That tree became a rallying point for the growing resistance to rule over Britain, to the rule of Britain over the American colonies. Moving on from the Liberty Tree, you find yourself at the Massachusetts State House, also known as the Black Heritage Trail. The State House dome was most recently gilded in 1997. It is under the Golden Dome that senators, state representatives, and the governor conduct the daily business of the Commonwealth. A great fact about the State House is the land for the State House was originally used as John Hancock's cow pasture. Its most distinct feature, the Golden Dome, was once made of wood, but was later overlaid with copper by Paul Revere. From the State House, you find yourself moving on to the John Adams Courthouse and Faneuil Hall. Often referred to as the home of free speech and the cradle of liberty, Faneuil Hall hosted America's first town meeting. This is where the Sons of Liberty proclaimed their dissent against royal oppression. Moving on from Faneuil Hall, you can make your way down to the Boston Navy Yard to see the USS Constitution. Launched in Boston in 1797, the oldest commissioned warship afloat earned her nickname Old Ironsides during the War of 1812, when she fought the British frigate HMS Garry. During this historic battle, cannonballs fired at USS Constitution appeared to bounce off, causing one of her crew to remark that her sides were made of iron. From the USS Constitution, you can make your way to the Bunker Hill Monument, Minuteman National Historical Park, and ultimately the Park Street Church. The church was founded in 1809 at the corner of Park and Tremont Streets, atop the sites of Boston's Town Grain Storage Building, or Granary. The 270-foot steeple of Park Street Church was once the first landmark travelers saw when approaching Boston. You can also visit the Granary Burying Ground, established in 1660. Some of America's most notable citizens are rest here. From the Granary, you can go to King's Chapel, the Old South Meeting House, and the Old State House. The Old State House stood as an emblem of liberty in Boston for over 300 years, built as the colony's first government building. From there, you can move on to the site of the Boston Massacre. The tensions that led to the Boston Massacre were the product of the occupation of Boston by the Redcoats in 1768. From that site, you go on to the Paul Revere House and the Copp's Hill Burying Ground. The value of an educational field trip to this location would greatly enhance any student's understanding of how we became the great nation we are today, by allowing them to, in person, see where our founding fathers took a line in the sand and stood up for our rights and freedoms as a free people. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video, and I hope you all have a great night.